Alright. Hey guys. This is like my 5th time trying to record a video. I'm a little scatterbrained, but I'm here today to talk to you about Torgga Badfist, my absolute favorite D&D character, and a little bit about how I went about making her, how I go about making other characters, and how the story evolves, I guess. So, I could start off with the first time playing D&D. I did not read into it very much. There was pizza and drinks and fun, and I got really involved with the backstory while the DM and my buddies were more talking about like what a player is capable of. I was like zoning out, like vengeance plot, screw orcs, I'm an alcoholic, things like that. And then I drew like a picture of her, Maggie Moonwhisper that is, and it was a lot of fun, but I did not know how to play well. So going into the future, one of my good friends wanted to play D&D, and we knew that one of our other good friends pretty much professionally DMs for people, so we were like, hey, will you help Brendan DM a campaign for our friend who has always wanted to play but never has before. So our buddy, and I'm going to name him because it'll be easier for me to talk about it, my buddy Neil came in and helped us understand all about D&D. And so once that happened, I started taking to it that much quicker. Still not focusing, still paying more attention to note-taking and drawing and things like that, as opposed to actually playing the game. So as a drow elf, an albino drow elf paladin, Maggie Moonwhisper didn't know how to use Divine Smite. I got all the way up to level 6 and I didn't know how to use anything because I never paid attention to it. I didn't fill out my character sheet correctly. I still have the original one, but I've since remade the character now that I actually know how to play. The first time I really understood how to play was when Brendan decided to do a campaign called White Plume Mountain. I'm not sure if you've played it before, but it was super fun. It was like my favorite campaign, most cohesive. He said in order to play that campaign, make a level 8 character. So, of course, naturally, instead of focusing on the stats and abilities and feats and features and all those different things, I came up with the backstory first. So, Torgga Badfist is someone who was part of a noble family of dwarves, but she didn't really like the nobility. She thought they were stuck up and felt like a black sheep, basically, of the family. So she boldly decided to move out into the woods and have an outlander background. And she, for the first couple weeks in the woods, had a rough go of it. She was very young as a dwarf, especially. But then she started sharing food with this family of bears, and they started sharing food with her. Skeptical at first, and then grew to understand each other, and then she was practically raised by this family of bears. Then a spell plague came through and infested the minds of some of the creatures in the woods, and Torgga was not affected, but her father, Morningstar, the bear, was. And so Torgga had to kill Morningstar because he was going mad, killing his own family members. So once she killed him, she got to keep his hide and wear it, and that is her magic totem as a barbarian. So I don't know if you've played D&D before, but all of these things that I had as a backstory before even creating the character, like I knew she was going to be a barbarian, I knew a dwarf, and I knew some other little things here and there. I knew she was going to have strength, stuff like that. But I did not know that like for the Outlander background, you pick your personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. I, at the time, was just writing them in on my own, just coming up with these things. I didn't realize you could go to that section in the player's handbook and look at backgrounds and then look at the different options for personality traits and things like that. And mind you, you can come up with whatever you want to create a character. It's D&D. You can do, within reason, pretty much anything. You can find a way to make the things you want to happen work. But the handbooks, the guidelines, D&D provides the rules and guidelines for how things would work. So of course you can find some way to make things happen, but definitely within reason. It's just so much fun though. So I didn't know that I was going to, as a barbarian, pick like a subclass. And that was, I chose Path of the Totem Warrior, Bear. Duh. And it was so awesome being able to choose that because I didn't know. I made this whole bear plot and then I was like, oh my gosh, I can have bear powers as a barbarian. And let me tell you, starting at level 8 and filling out all the abilities up until and including level 8 was so exhilarating. It's like, oh my gosh, I can do this and this and this. Anyways, long story short, or not long story short, but anyways, I made my character first. My character's background first. Which might not be the best way to do things, but I sat down at the bar and wrote out this whole back plot to Torgga Badfist, raised by bears. Then this progressive woman met an elf named Nyx. And she's the first man she ever slept. He's the first man she ever slept with. He was also an elf, and she gave birth at 40 years old, dwarf style, so just becoming an adult as a dwarf, because typically they live longer. She had her first child, Morningstar, named him after her father at the age of 40. Then it took her 10 years to have another child. And then every 2 years for the next, 48, she had more children. So Torgga Badfist took on different husband wives as well, and does bare knuckle boxing in order to earn money to create a town for all her loved ones, because she has so many children, she has so many lovers that take care of the children, her, one another. Very bold, beautiful, progressive, open, natural, cool community. And so she is someone who's trying to earn a lot of money to build her town. And so making that backstory and having all of that planned and naming all 21 children and how old she was when she had them and how old they are now when they started at White Plume Mountain and what type of, what race they are and what class they are. Usually they follow their father's class. I went into high detail, but she's a very nurturing mother lover lady and needs money to make the town. So White Plume was just that way. She found out about it and decided to participate in the adventure so that she could make the money for this town. And it went well, and the story has grown and grown, and she met her last and final husband, who's a Githzerai, or is he a Githyanki? Or it doesn't matter, because they should be working together. There's so much to her story now. I have to write a book about it, and I likely will, because very intense. But so that's Torgga, and I could tell you more if you wanted to know more, but maybe keep your eye out for a book. I got her all the way to level 10, Torgga, as a barbarian, and then level 11, she's taking her first level as a druid so that she can actually, in her old age, as she levels more, become a bear and stay that way. She is scrappy. She bare knuckle boxes for money, or used to. Now she runs this huge, massive city where she accepts anyone as long as they're good to one another. She always does what's right. I am not very good at accents, but Torgga is not very bright. She's not very smart. She was raised by bears, but she also talks like borderline Russian or something. One of the only things she remembers from her original family is that her mother said, always do what's right. And so she took that literally, so anytime in game she is asked which direction to go, she says, always do what's right, and goes to the right. That's pretty fun. Personality traits, one of her flaws, which that's something I wanted to talk about. When I make a character, I want to give them a flaw that actually nerfs them. So for her, she hates seeing unnatural, ungodly things. So she hates zowl bears, zombie owl bears, and flesh golems, and things that are ooh, that shouldn't exist. So she's so grossed out by things like that because she loves pure nature, not some necromancy nature. She pukes every time she sees something like this. So I demand that the DM give me puke damage, because I feel how can one have or at least roll to get puke damage? She has a very high constitution, but I feel I want to take some damage. I'm a barbarian. It's so much fun playing a barbarian. So that's that. Also making her, Brendan came up with this stat idea. One can roll for stats and put them where they want. Or we could do stats that are 3, 1 really good one, 2 reasonably great stats, and then 3 meh stats. So it goes 18, 16, 14, 10, 10, 8? Now I don't even remember. But he has good ideas. So I think that's what I used, and I gave my highest to Constitution, apparently. My second highest to Strength. Terrible charisma. And I think it's fun to, when making a character, nerf something that is relatively important, because it makes it, I don't know, exciting to see how things will pan out when one rolls the dice. To make things that typically a barbarian or a rogue or what have you should be able to do. It's fun to see how those fail. I'm getting a little off the beaten path here, but I think I talked about Torgga sufficiently. And I could talk about her more. She's, got this whole story. And she's such a nice lady. But I think you got the gist of it. Now officially she has this town, and I've been playing with her for a bunch of different campaigns and one-shots and things like that. And her story continues to grow. Super cool, super fun. I mistakenly used her name for some modeling thing I was going to try. It was going to be my model name, Torgga the Bad. And it just didn't go that well, which is fine, but I kind of learned that if there's something sacred to you with a name that you care about, that is a thing that's essential to your core, maybe don't use it for things that it doesn't represent. Because Torgga is this awesome character. I could timestamp when I made her. And she's this entity now that I feel could even, with some work done, go into like actual D&D lore. Like I could write a book about Torgga and submit it to the Forgotten Realms literature. Definitely. And I want to do that. I need a little guidance and help maybe. I've never written a book before. I haven't really written at all, but she is like a part of me, a part of my heart, and I want that to be accurately represented moving forward. So hopefully this video does a decent job letting you know that Torgga Badfist is a badass who gets people to love one another and takes on anything, that always wants to go first. Always, I don't know, someone that I admire because I wish I had the strength and the courage that Torgga had. And in a sense, I can and I do, because I imagined it, but like her taking on a world of her own, very wholesome. Not sure what else to say. I don't even know if this is a video where I said I've taken so many videos and I'm frazzled. So, being real with you here. Got new lighting because it's dim out here. It's been raining. My hair is like ultimate humidity, so I'm like showing it off. The lioness hair. Got the other part going. Thanks for listening to me, guys. Ask me questions. You know, that'll be the best way for me to understand how to appeal to you. And I promise for Monday, when we make a character together, or I make a character in front of you and I can explain a little bit better about my version of character sheet, yada yada, I'll have notes. Well, actually, you know, character sheets are a great guideline. This is my girl, though. Torgga Badfist, initially made for White Plume Mountain and just has ever evolved. You know what? I'll probably take a picture of all her children so you can look at it. It might not make sense. Take a picture of her character sheet. Feel free to freaking, you know, use her. I can't say it's going to be canon if you use her for something, but it'll be cool. Anyways, I hope you have a good night. Thanks for sitting by and being my buddies. Thanks.